Sandeep will take the question at the end, if that's okay. Because I think most of the questions that you are about to ask will be answered in this demo. And yeah, if you have anything more to ask, feel free, but at the end of the demo.
Kshitij, I think we can start now. Good to go.
Okay. Okay, let's go. So hello everyone. As Harish already introduced, I'll just give some credibility about myself. I'm currently a fourth year student at IIIT Delhi. I'm studying computer science and design. I was the Microsoft Design Challenge winner in 2021. And I was also selected for a digital product school in Munich and currently interning at Microsoft as a UX designer. And there are some other things which can also do, but that's mostly about it. But before I begin, is there anyone who also attended the demo last time as well? Just out of curiosity. Just put it in the chat, me or yes. Okay, cool. Okay, so I thought there might be many more people, but I'd just like to put it up front that throughout the course, I'll be putting everything, like there's going to be a huge repository of resources, structured, everything content would be on this website, designfly.me. So I'll put everything there. This would be exclusive to the people who take the course initially, but eventually might roll out something for other people as well, and you'll get it. So you just need to add your name to the waitlist. Yeah, just a short plug, but it'll be used throughout the course. Now, for this demo, I'll quickly tell you a few design concepts and how it's used in the industry. I'll give you the course vision, and I'll answer your questions if you have anything to ask. A quick question to all of you. Which of these in front of you, the three images that you see, what do you think is design? Like in which of these three images is design? 1, 2, 3. Just put it in the chat. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3. Which ones? Okay, first image, 1, 2, 1, 1. Okay, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2. Okay, 2, 1. Okay, so there are many people who are saying 1. I think 1 is probably the most common. Some are saying all as well, and a few are saying 2. Okay, so I'd say 1, but the correct answer here, in fact, is the second one. And that's the only thing which is referred to as design. And the other two things that you see, the other two images, are actually art. And I'll tell you the difference. It's very common that people mistake these two and mix them up together. And the main difference, that how do you identify art and design, is that art is something that makes you question, whereas design answers your question. So what does that mean? Is that on the left and the right, as you can see, those are just normal images which do not really tell or convey a message. Yes, it's beautiful. Yes, it makes you question things. Yes, it's very pretty and all that stuff, but it's not really helping you. It's not really solving a problem for you. Whereas design is something which looks pretty, can be aesthetic as well, but to a user, to a person who's interacting with the design, it solves a problem. So why is the second picture, the one you see, it's a normal door, but why is that a design? So this concept is called a Norman door. It's from the book called Design of Everyday Things. And it's a simple concept. Like when you go to a door, whenever you're interacting with it, when you try to open it or pull it, there are multiple times what will happen is that you're going to pull it, but it's actually a push door. You're about to push it, but you actually have to pull it. And that confusion is always there. And I'm pretty sure every one of you has faced it at some point in their life, if not every time. So how do you solve this problem? This is a problem that people face. It's a common problem and it can be solved. So this is where the Norman door comes into picture. It's like, all it says is that for doors that in which you have to push, don't add the handle, just add a normal plate which you can push, so that people would know that, okay, you have to push. For places where you have to pull, you just add a handle. And that certain difference, that simple thing, it sounds simple, but it's so effective that people will not be able to confuse how do you interact with the door. So, okay. There's nothing you can do, Shreyas. Okay, I'm just starting with the class. And okay, so I'll give you and then that was something which was used. It's a physical product, it's physical design. But UI UX design is not actually physical. Like there are concepts which have been derived from physical design, but all that has been put together into into digital products. And what do digital products mean? the apps that you're interacting with, the websites that you're using, everything, every little thing that you see on the website of the app has a reason behind it. And once you start exploring it, and once you start reading up articles or case studies, you'll realize that it's a wonderful world out there that you might have missed. So okay, how many of you have used Facebook and have seen these reactions? Like, how do you like a picture? These are the options that you see when you like a picture. You can like it, you can love it, you can laugh it. Has anyone ever wondered how this was made, or why this was created, and how this worked out? Anyone? Okay. Okay, so there's actually a great case study in how this went about. In 2009, Facebook introduced the like button, which was only that you can like a image or a photo or anything that content that the content that is there on Facebook, you can like it. And it was only that like button. So all you could do was interact with the like button. But what they noticed was there were many people who the content that was posted there, it was not all likable. People were commenting on it, but it was only one word answers like, okay, great, sounds awesome. And most stickers were being used like awesome, nice, wow, haha, sad, etc. There were many stickers, but those one word answers, everything was being used. And that's when they realized that not everything on Facebook is likable. There could be sometimes that you feel emotionally connected. Okay, this is sad, this is angry or confused, etc. There are multiple emotions. And that's how Facebook started to solve this problem. Like, how do you make the content not only likable but add more emotions to it? And the thing that they had to, so they went about and collected all the data. This is global data, okay, not just specific to a country, global data on what people's and their reactions are to an image and a photo. So they pulled out multiple comments and multiple stickers that people use. These are the common stickers, these are the comments that people have, and they put all of that together and took out the most common ones, and which were like, love, haha, wow, sad, angry, confused, yeah. These are the most common ones that people used. And now the answer was obvious, okay, that these are the reactions, you have to introduce them to the application. But there were two important things that needed to be kept in mind. The reaction needed to be universally understood. For someone in Japan or in India, in the US, the reactions could be different. Like, wow, maybe the face looks the same or something similar, but it could mean, depending on the context, it could mean something different. And that's why it's very important to realize that these reactions needed to be universally understood. For someone reacting in Japan, for a photo for someone sitting in the US, the two differences needed to be something that they needed to connect with each other, and that was something that was very important. And second was adding on to this only, that it needs to be widely used and it needs to be expressive, that everyone understands it and it's very expressive and self intuitive that what it means. And so these were the early iterations. They were static images, they were outlines, people were black and white, light colored expression. There were multiple iterations that they tried based on these reactions only, but none of them were working out because of this global difference, because of the country difference, because of how people interpret them. It was very difficult to convey that emotion only using just images without adding any text. And so what they did was they created animated emojis. And that was something much easier, and then people could also relate to it. That, okay, there's a 1 second behind how the emotion is being created and 1 second after that emotion. That whole GIF is being shown to you. And that's how it works. But there were still multiple problems. Like, how do you actually go about and put these emotions on the content, on the post that you see? So this was one of the initial iterations. You like it, and then you have you scroll it. This is called a scrubber as well. You scroll it and you can choose an emotion and it shows you up front. Can anyone guess what the problem with this was? Because obviously you cannot, it's not there in the application. So what do you think the problem was with this part, with this solution? Any guesses? You don't have to be right, just guess. Just scrolling, okay. Too many scrolls, okay. Less interactive. Okay, so the major problem So yeah, many of you did mention, but a major problem here was, if you can see, once you click on it, once you long press that like button, that whole bar changes to multiple emotions that you have to slide and use. But okay, for you as a student or as someone very young who's interacted with multiple applications, it seems obvious that okay, you have to slide and use it. But since Facebook is used by for every age, for every user group, for someone who's old, in the middle age, or even younger people, so for all of them to understand, it was very difficult because not everyone could figure out that okay, once you long press, you have to keep on long pressing and slide it as well. Because what would people do? They'd long press and then they'd lift their finger and then choose an emotion, but by then that would have disappeared. So it's confusing in that sense. And of course, there are a lot of interactions as well. That's also difficult, which some of you mentioned. So the problem that they wanted to solve with the solution was, not only should people be able to react like love, haha, confused, angry, but their normal behavior, which was liking an image, that should not be interrupted. And that was being interrupted here because even if you want to like it, you have to long press and like it. And that behavior, that abrupt behavior change, could lead to multiple problems and people can exit the app. And that does happen. So that needed to stay. And reaction should not make existing behavior more difficult. That's what I've already covered. So the next solution that they tried, the next iteration was this one, where you long press, but they show you the text, like where you have to slide with a slide gradient, that okay, you have to slide right. And yet there was still some problem with it, that text was being too focused. Like the person who was using the reaction, they would focus on the text and they would have to read it and choose. There's a time lag in there, and it's very difficult because you can't even see all the emotions there. If you see, you have to scroll and it goes out of the frame, and then once you scroll, you see the last sorry part. And that should not be the case, because once you're reacting, you should see all the reactions upfront and know which one you should react to. Because for every post, if you want to decide that, okay, I want to spend 5 seconds in deciding whether I should like, I should love, haha, it's very difficult and it's not intuitive, and that's a bad design. And so that's the final solution. And the final solution is what you see in front of you, where you just have the one I showed in the starting of this slides as well, that you long press and then you show you only the emotions and with the text, just to add some context for people who don't know what the emotion means. And that was the solution. It worked perfectly because you could see all the emotions up front. The third part, which was also important, was how do you actually show these emotions? Initially, you only had the like button, so you could only see, okay, 100 people like this, 50 people like this, etc. But you needed to show all the emotions as well. Like there are multiple emotions that people have interacted with, so that people know, okay, this is something that they want, this is something that they don't like. And these were some multiple iterations that they tried, but each one of them had a few problems. It was too informative, it was too condensed, congested. There were multiple reasons. So what was the solution? This simplified it to the top 3 emojis that people use, and they added a name as well. So whoever your closest friend or the people that you interact with, when they react to an image, they add their name as well. So when you're scrolling through a post, you see their name and you say, okay, this person liked it, you feel more connected with the post. And that still happens in Instagram as well. If you like an image, you'll see that this person and 50 others like this image. And once you see their name, you feel an instant connect, and it's more powerful that way, that okay, this connected, and then you're more likely to react to it as well. And that was the solution that they went ahead with. So the whole overall summary is that all good designs actually have a very simple solution, that you might even the process that have a simple solution, but the process behind it, like how do you actually reach that solution, is very complex. And that happens with every simple design that you see out there. You might not even realize it's so simple that it's a actually complex process that went behind that solution. And lastly, a quote which many of you might have heard of it, and it's often used in the design industry, is that design is not what it looks like, but it's how it works. And that's what UI UX design is as well. Like how do things function? How does the solution that you're creating would help solve the problem? Not just whether it's beautiful, whether it looks aesthetic or not. Any questions up till now regarding the Facebook case study or anything? Otherwise, I'll tell you the course vision and how the course will work and how it'll be distributed and what all you'll be taught. Okay, okay, I'll go ahead then. So this course that I'm teaching, that I'm explaining is, I've named it as Design Flywheel, and I'll quickly explain why that is. So flywheel means that, okay, imagine this, that it's a huge Ferris wheel, and you have to push it to get it moving. And that's, so how would you start? You'll push it, it'll take probably an hour, 2 hours just to get that initial momentum. And that one loop, like that one complete circle, would probably take you multiple hours. But eventually, when you go around and do it for the second time, it's still moving and you push it, there's still some momentum built to it. So when you push it, it's much more easier than now that you have to push it. And similarly, after 5 loops, it's much more easier, and so on, so on, so on. And that Ferris wheel, that flywheel keeps on rotating. And that's what this course is about. That what I'm trying to do is that create that system that you have to start building. So you'll follow this loop, and you won't become an expert, but you will reach a stage where you can explore and understand design properly. And then you can also go ahead and work on multiple case studies, probably take part in projects, etc. And what's this flywheel? It's 4 steps. This is a thing that I've also go through in detail in only my first lecture. Rest of the content is much more added to this. But the flywheel is that you find inspiration, you analyze and copy it. You find inspiration on multiple sources. You analyze the inspiration on why things happen, how that happened, and you copy it exactly the same. And then you combine, and you have different components. Now you have different components that you've copied, and now you combine and create it, put it together for something that you want to make. And that's where creativity comes into play. And then you share it with other people, the folks, peers within this course or other people outside, and interact with them and tell them how things work. And that's how it all, this loop that you see, this is how it'll function, and this is how you'll get started in design. This is not just me that I'm saying this is actually what I've observed in my 2-year journey when I started with design, and now that I've reached here, that people do this, they copy, and then they start combining stuff, and then they share it with others so that you can get different perspective into what other people think as well. I just wanted to show why design is important. If this was something that I had started with, I'm pretty sure half of you would not have stayed up until this slide. So that's why that design that you see, this one that you had saw, it's pretty visible that, okay, it looks good, but there's a lot of things that intuitively happened when I was making it. It's all very much aligned. It's all structured. There's space in between, etc. So that's all that you need to build. But in order to build that, you need to keep doing that design flywheel loop multiple times. This is how the course will go ahead. It's a 4-week course and with 5 weekends. So in the first week, we'll look at different strategies, the myths, and what design is, how you can set up your system around, so that everywhere you look, you'll find inspiration and you'll build that design eye so that you can also create aesthetic designs. Week 2, we'll look at the UI part, color theory, typography, how do you prototype, how do you create animations, and we'll be doing all of that using Figma. It's a free software. You can start already if you haven't already. In the week 3, we look the reasoning and the design decision that goes into place. Like why would someone want to create this UI? How do you go ahead and solve a problem? What's different dark patterns? And there's a whole process that companies follow. It's called the design process in order to solve a problem. We look into that as well. And the last week, we'll actually go ahead and do a 1-week design sprint where I'll give you a prompt which has been derived from company interviews, like let's say what Google gave or what Airbnb gave in their design interviews. And you'll try and solve it by following the design process, the UI library, and everything that you've learned. And at the end of that, we'll look at how you can create your portfolio and how you can showcase that case study to others. So you'll have a proper project for your resume as well. And I just wanted to tell you a little about how much do designers earn. And I do believe there's a notion that there's a difference, that people think design is not so much popular or not so much credible in the industry or etc. But I am of course giving you some of the salaries that I personally found by talking to my friends who are or have worked there, and these are the things that they are earning. So it's there. Like people do get paid in design. That's not there. So don't remove that notion if you have it or had it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And since I have taken one batch, these are some of the testimonies that I got after completing the course. You can read it. I won't be reading it out. I'll leave this slide. And but if you have any questions, so the last question that I had was, are you ready to turn the flywheel? And yeah, it'll be an exciting journey. There's a lot to learn. And by the end of the course, you'll be able to explore and go into that design world and confidently talk with people in regards to design. If not anything, I'll give you that breadth so that you know, okay, this is something that I want to explore in design, UI UX design, because there's a lot more roles out there in UI UX design other than just UI and UX. Any questions? If you have, you can read them. These are the testimonies. I'll leave them on this slide. Any questions that anyone wants to ask? You don't need a good laptop because Figma is a browser software as well that people can use on their browser, Chrome, Safari, etc. And you don't need a very good laptop to use it. Figma is the name. Figma is I personally prefer Figma over Adobe XD because Figma is much more powerful. It's way better when you're collaborating, and in fact many companies use Figma if you look at it. There aren't any prerequisites. We'll be doing everything from scratch. We'll be starting. It's for people who don't know anything about design. So we'll be going from 0 to 1. We'll be turning that first flywheel. That is very important. What are the things that you need to know in order to learn design? You need to know how to make decisions. You need to know how to take decision in order to create a UI and how to solve a problem in regards to that UI. You will have all the videos of the lecture. You will get all the access to the videos as well. It's all recorded and you will get access to them. And of course it is live. Like the course is live. I'll be teaching you, but in case you miss out or you don't understand something, you can go over it again. It's all recorded as well. That's what I'm saying. But the course is live. You don't need any other software other than Figma. Do we need to make perfect drawing? No, you don't need to be a good at drawing or in fact using pencil. It's UI UX is completely different. Anyone can learn how to design proper UIs or beautiful UIs. Important. Actually, it is UI UX is important for a web developer. In fact, for Android developer, web developer, because when you're creating solutions, when you're creating that UI, that website, you need to understand why this is going there and why it's happening. Because people do judge a company by their website, if not anything. Should a designer learn how to code? It's debatable. There are multiple open no-code softwares out there, so you don't really have to learn code. You'll get jobs as well if you don't know code. But if you're interested and you want to learn, that's completely different as well.
Kshitij, sorry to interrupt, but a lot of people are asking what's the difference between the basic plan and the advanced plan. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So the basic plan is mostly everything. Like you'll have the same content as the advanced plan. The only difference with advanced is that you'll have personal sessions with me on one-on-one session that you can keep throughout the week, so that if you have any doubts, or if you have any questions, or if you want me to critique or give you feedback on something or help you with your life choices or career choices, I won't give you an advice directly, but I can help you show that, okay, these are the resources that you can explore. These are the people that you can talk to further explore that career, etc.
Yes.
So if you
So
want
maybe just
session.
a brief overview for you guys. This is a live class. So every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, Kshitij will be coming and taking live classes so that you stay motivated. It's not like a recorded lecture on YouTube or Udemy. You'll get live feedback from Kshitij every weekend. And if you're on the basic plan, which costs 999,000 rupees, then you'll be able to attend all the live lectures. You'll get assignments. You'll get things like that. But if you have the advanced plan, you can also schedule one-on-one sessions with Kshitij on weekdays. So at that time, you can have personal calls, asking questions about your career and things like that. Have discussions about design. So if you think that's an additional thing you need, then you can opt for the advanced plan. But if you think you're fine with just the lectures, the live lectures, you can opt for the basic plan.
And in fact, in addition to the course structure, the content that I'll be giving there, I also give out multiple design assignments throughout the week. So we'll have the lectures on the weekend. Then on Sunday night, I'll give you the assignment, which you can go through and do it throughout the week. And then we'll be able to discuss it the next weekend. So it's
Someone's
pretty
asked,
interactive.
yeah, someone's asking, do we get a community to interact with in the basic plan? Yes, you will be in a private WhatsApp group, and that group is very resourceful. There are a lot of people sharing different things, getting feedback on designs, sharing new things that they've learned on the internet about design. So, being around people interested in design will definitely help you amplify your design journey. So you will definitely get access to the community, even if you're on the basic plan.
Yeah, you can do UI UX on iPad, but it's a little difficult if you want to create the UI part, but the UX part and the research part, etc., you can do.
Someone's asking, will I get a certificate? Yes. At the end of the course, if you complete it, we'll give you a certificate. And if you complete all assignments, we'll give you a certificate of excellence as well. Cool, guys. So for those who are looking for the link, you can just go to bluelearn.in and if you go under courses, you'll be able to find the link.
Right.
If there are any other questions, you can just put in the chat. Kshitij, maybe we can take questions for like 2-3 more minutes and then wrap it up.
Sure. Will we have a portfolio by the end of the program? You won't have a portfolio as such, but you'll have a project that you can put in your portfolio. But I will tell you how you can create a portfolio, what all you'll need to create a portfolio. And also the last class or the last weekend is based around how to interact with people when you're giving an interview, or how do you actually reach out to people, and etc. Figma is not a paid software, it's a free software. The classes start next weekend, Saturday. If you want to see my projects, just go to my Behance or my website, imkshitij.com. Timings can change, but usually the last batch I had it during the evening times, 7:30 or 9:30. That depends on what the group wants. So there's no fixed timing as such. I prefer Figma. Where to pay? Go to bluelearn.in and you'll find the course. So yeah, the link is in the chat as well. The sessions are, so I started with 1 hour session, but most of them extended longer. So we'll probably have an upper cap of 1.5 hours. Every class is 1.5 or so. I know video editing will be, so I'm not sure how video editing will help in UI UX exactly, but if you want to showcase your UIs, then it might help. Your video editing skills might help. The YouTube channel is, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to answer that. The course videos? No, UI UX does not mean making prototypes or designing. It's like I explained as well, there's a whole lot, like there's a whole process that you need to follow. How do you make decisions, and what MNCs or companies do, and how do they solve problems?
Cool, Kshitij. Do you want to wrap it up now?
Yeah, sure. There's just one last question.
Yeah, sure.
How much time will it take to learn and transition into UI UX role? So in general, in order to learn UI UX, all you need to do is learn how to make good decisions, and how do you identify that? Like you need to build that flywheel that I talked about initially. And once you have that, then it becomes much easier to transition into the UI UX roles. The time is very much dependent on how much effort you put. So I'm not commenting on that part. UI UX can become a full-time job. Okay, I think we can wrap it up. Harish. Hello. Okay. Anyways, thank you all for coming. You can go to bluelearn.in. The link was already in the chat if you want to join the course. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for coming to the demo session.
Thanks, Kshitij. Has been super helpful. And thanks, guys, for coming. Hope you got to learn something. And definitely, if you're interested, you can sign up for the course. Link can be found on Bluelearn's website. It's also there in the chat section. Cool, guys. Have a great evening.